Today we're going to be going to one of my favorite beaches out here on the Central Coast, and that would be Avila Beach. Previously we showed off Pismo Beach, which is definitely one of the more popular beaches, especially with tourists, but the beach that we're going to now is one of my favorites because it is typically less busy and it's a sunnier beach. Being a south-facing beach down here, it definitely provides more sun, and I just like the layout of it. It's a good beach to go and relax at. It's not as good for surfing, which is why I typically go over to the Pismo Beach for that. But anyway, as we drive out here, I wanted to go over a little more of my thoughts of the Central Coast. Before, I had talked about more of the positive aspects, and those definitely by far outweigh the negatives. But there are negatives to this area, and I wanted to make sure I cover it the entire base. That there is a really cool place. If you're ever out in the Central Coast, Sycamore Hot Springs, you can rent a natural hot springs hot tub. They have a spa, a really cool hike up behind the place. Really cool place there. So back to the Central Coast. We really like it out here, but one of the biggest negatives is really got to be the cost of living, in particular real estate, and thus if you're renting or whatever it is that you're doing, cost of housing out here is just ridiculous. To give you an idea, in Lubbock, Texas, where I'm originally from, I could buy a similar place for about 1/3. I think is what I figured. It kind of varies from day to day, but about 1/3 the cost out there in Texas for me. So you're definitely going to pay a premium for living here, and in addition to that, you also pay a 10% income tax for living in California. Now I know other states have that as well. Texas did not, so that was something new to me moving out here. Kind of double hits you though when you got such high cost of living and the income tax. But it's all about what's more important to you. You know, if you are in Texas, you spend a lot of your money on going on trips, vacations, you know, stuff like that, getting out to nicer areas. Well, you save that out here because you're already there. You're in the area where you can have your vacation. So you live a little more simply, maybe, in order to save that money, and you kind of get the vacation spot a lot closer there with you. So that's definitely one of the biggest downsides to living on the Central Coast. There are others though that I'd like to mention. One of those is kind of traffic. In each individual city out here, as I mentioned, there's a bunch of different small towns kind of all lined up along the coast in the area we live. But in each city there's not any traffic at all. But the traffic that you hit is on the 101, which is the interstate that connects all these cities. And it's not like in Texas where you have east and west traffic. You really don't. You can't go west, and all of the main traffic is really heading north and south. So it kind of creates a funnel. You have a two-lane highway going each direction, and so that really limits how much traffic can go through. Not to mention, what's up, man? Riding out on a nice day, yes sir. Not to mention that a lot of the other cities, the larger cities, they typically take the I-5. Out here they call it the 5,
which put me right on the 5 forever.
When going between LA and San Francisco, for instance. But there are quite a few that actually take the 101. Anybody coming up from Santa Barbara or different areas. So what I'm trying to say is you not only get the traffic within your state, or not within your state, within your 5 different cities that you're maybe traveling between, But you also get a lot of traffic from people that are on vacation, people that are traveling through. And so it creates quite a bit of congestion, especially during more rush hour periods. There's the beach. Oh, such a pretty area. Love this beach. So you do have some traffic problems when it comes to that. One of the upsides is one of the spots where I hit traffic most often is right where you get this beautiful overlook of the ocean. And man, that would be the best place that I want to have to be slowed down in traffic. But it's still something to consider. Also, I was used to in Texas having good customer service and larger businesses that typically provided better service. And that's something that you kind of forego out here on the Central Coast. It might be better in the large cities, but the culture around here is just not quite the same as far as providing good customer service. And a lot of that comes with the small town nature, but I don't know, in Texas, in the small towns, people were very friendly as well. So you might not get, for instance, the grocery stores that we used to go to. They would, pack the bags for you, they'd take it out to the car for you, different things like that, and really treat you like a guest when you come to their stores. Whereas out here, for instance, in restaurants, they don't do that with the grocery stores, but in restaurants, there's very few places where you don't have to clear your own table. And so it's just one of those things you get used to, but you don't have quite the nice businesses and customer service out here. It's a minor gripe, honestly, but it is something to make note of. So, do I think that I would do it again to come out here? Would I recommend for others to move out here? Well, it really all depends on your situation with your job. There's really no way to make it out here unless you've got a good job secured. There are a few jobs out here that will be enough to sustain you out here. There's a few larger businesses that kind of base out of the area. But for the most part, you're probably talking about where you'd have to have some sort of a remote job, such as like what I do with our business being remote out in Texas. Slow down here for this bump. It's one thing I love about this Fat Bob on these bumps on my iron on the Sportster. Man, when I went over those bumps, I would have to be super careful not to bottom out. This Fat Bob has such a better clearance. Let's see if we can turn around in here. And we're gonna go check out the beach and let you guys kind of see what Avila Beach is like. This right here is called Port San Luis, and it's a cool thing here. They got a port for people to load and unload boats into the ocean, and they've got all the boats out there that are moored, keeping them basically parked there for ready to be used if needed. And then you have this kind of like little bay area right here where you can do paddle boarding or different things. It's a really cool spot. But would I recommend coming out here to others? Yeah, I definitely would. Just make sure you secure the right kind of financial situation with your job, and it's great. It's definitely worth the cost if you can make it work. Another place that I had considered moving previously was Colorado. I love the mountains in Colorado, but one thing that's cool about out here is it's actually fairly close to the mountains. I've already gone snowboarding once up here. I'd like to go more, but there's definitely that kind of stuff close by as well. So although there are some negatives, as there are anywhere, I'd say overall this is a great place to live. If you like the ocean, if you like outdoors, I'm telling you, this is a cool spot. We've been here for about I think it's been about 5 years now. I grew up, the rest of my life I lived in Texas, but I already feel like it's home. We've grown into a nice little community out here, and I tell you, if you live in a place where you can have fun for just right in your backyard, going out and having fun at the beach, or we're up in the hills doing some hiking or something, it's definitely something I would recommend to anybody interested. So we'll drive up here and see if we can show off Avila Beach a little bit. So here is Avila Beach. We're gonna be driving up through the little small town up here. Some interesting facts about the area. It used to be a more popular beach back in the day, but apparently there was an oil spill out here that caused the beaches to be ruined for many years, and it took a long time to get the beach back in order to where people could come over and actually get out in the water. It was a hazard before, but they've definitely fixed all of that problem since we've moved out here. At least I don't know when it was done. I don't think it was long before we moved out here. Probably in the maybe like something like 10 years ago would be my guess. I'll try to see if I can find out that information. But they're coming along. They're rebuilding different areas of it. They just rebuilt the pier after there was actually way too many people out there trying to do whale watching. It's really cool out here around August. The whales come out right up to the pier, and you can go out there and you can see a huge whale just right up close, right off of the pier. So if you're ever wanting to see whales out here around August, I believe it is, sometime in the fall, August, September is the best time to come for that. But yeah, let's see if we can find us some parking spots and we'll walk around the beach.